Y'all, for those of you who have been with me since I started my sourdough journey, how happy are we to be at this point? Today is Tuesday. I have to go to the range tomorrow for work, and then on Thursday's normal day, but that evening I'm actually going to start the process of like mixing my dough, the every 30 minutes slap and pull, and then on Friday I'll actually do the baking. And I'm going to make a traditional sourdough loaf because I've been seeing people say start with just a loaf before you go on to like the artisan style. But then my husband will be able to take it back and use it for like sandwiches and stuff for work, or like make toast out of it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm so happy. When they say you can't kill sourdough starter, it's true, because I was worried. I was like, I'm not getting any activity, I'm not getting any growth. Like, what is the problem? Just look at your flour to water ratio, look at the temperature that you're in, and then look at how often you're feeding it. Because one thing I did notice is with all-purpose flour, once it started growing, because initially I was getting some hooch and everything, and you go back and watch that in other videos, but once it like started becoming active, it needed to be fed twice a day. Like once a day was not enough for it. I'm actually getting ready to do another feeding, and I'm going to feed this one. And again, I'm just going by consistency. And then for this one, this is like my scientific one, I'm going to I really want to combine the two, but I feel like I'm chancing it if I do that. But I am going to feed this one with the 20, I'm going to go down to 25 grams of starter with 50-50 or whatnot. So we'll go from there, and then just keep this show going until I make my first loaf on Thursday. And yeah, I guess I'll move it to the fridge after that for when I want to make my sourdough. I'm so excited about this. So I don't know if I told you guys, but my starter has been active now for about a week. I'm really excited. This one has actually peaked and come down. You can see on the sides, and this is what it looks like on the inside, nice and bubbly. I'm actually getting ready to make my first loaf, and I'm just trying a sandwich loaf. And the recipe is from Nested Feather or Feathered Nester or something. There you have it. But it seems simple enough. I'm just gonna go ahead and get all my ingredients prepped, but my starter is alive and well. So for this, you want 65 grams of sourdough starter. Y'all, for those of you who have been with me since I started my sourdough journey, how happy are we to be at this point? Like, you know that I thought that I would not make it to this point, and I was discouraged. I phoned a friend, and then I shared some starter with a friend, and like I did all the things, but I did not give up. Let me tell you, you have to have patience and you have to have realistic expectations, because what the internet is going to tell you is completely different than what I actually learned, even when following this recipe. So this recipe, I probably should have started with something more simpler. And I decided to go with like a traditional sandwich loaf because, again, the internet, the interwebs said it would be easier to start. I mean, honestly, the artisan loaves are easier. And I say they're easier because it's literally the starter, flour, water, and salt. And that's it. You can add things to it or take it out. So I have not tried just making the artisan recipe in a loaf. That's going to be next. But this was a little more complicated or whatnot. And I say I was worried about adding sugar because yeast eats sugar, and then, you know, science and all that stuff. But back to what I was saying, how excited are we to be to this point? Because I had to phone a friend. I had to do a lot of stuff to get to this point. And I started seeing a consistent rise at a consistent basis. So at least doubling or tripling 3 to 4 hours after feeding. Once I started feeding twice a day, and I increased the temperature of the environment. And I'm always cold, so you guys know I thought that my apartment was good because I keep the heat at like 74, 75, higher sometimes, but it wasn't enough. So I had to start sticking it in the oven so that it can actually get warm. And again, that's when I started to see like consistent activity. But aside from all that, I am really excited and I'm really happy to finally be here making my first loaf of sourdough. And again, it's like a 24-hour process or whatnot. And the biggest difference with this and the other loaves I have made is that this one involved sugar and olive oil. Every loaf I've made since this one, I have not used those ingredients. I've literally been using starter, flour, salt, and water. That is it. I even made a wonderful jalapeno cheddar loaf for my husband, a blueberry lemon loaf. Watch the shorts if you want to see that process or whatnot. But yeah, I did not care for this recipe. I'm not saying it's not a good recipe. And you know, it was my first, this is my first loaf, guys. Be aware of that. Like, this is my first loaf, and there's a lot that goes with sourdough, like watching the consistency of the dough and when you slap and pull, and then just like the bulk fermentation versus the cold fermentation. And this one just stayed out on the counter. It did not get refrigerated at all. The recipe did say that it's like an easier loaf to make or whatnot, but it wasn't for me. So I did make just a traditional white loaf with some bread flour just to like test it out and everything using yeast. It wasn't sourdough, but this was the recipe on the King Author bag or whatnot. See, I'm adding more water because again, I'm not sure of the consistency or whatnot. Maybe my dough is too wet. I don't know. But I made a traditional white loaf using the recipe that's on the side of the King Author bag, and that one came out just fine. And like I said, every loaf that I've made since then has come out okay. I just, again, as far as watching, knowing the texture, what it should look like, what it should feel like, all of that was like a learning process for me. And then I also don't think, because if you saw the jar, my starter had risen and then it fell. So maybe my starter wasn't as active as it needed to be. I had missed its peak. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out. And then they're saying like a shaggy texture. I don't know what its shaggy texture is. I think I have it a little bit down now. And like, I know the feeling based off the loaves that I have had that were good. I might remake this recipe now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, just to see if it's like me, or maybe I really don't care for the recipe. I don't know. But it was sweet and it did smell good. But I'm just going through the process now. I'm so excited. Like, you guys have no idea. When I'm making this loaf, I'm so excited. And the thing about this loaf is also I'm starting it as my husband's driving up. So I'm super excited also to like share it with him so he can take it back and everything. After you mix everything up and then you let it sit for like 30 minutes, that's when you want to start like your stretch and fold. So I'm scraping it out, and this process, I think I do like a total of 4 or 5 stretch and folds with 30 minutes in between. And you see the dough is kind of sticky. I don't know if it's supposed to be that sticky or not. I can tell you I've had loaves since then that are this sticky, and then I've had loaves that are not this sticky, and honestly they both come out okay. So yeah, I don't know, just bear with me. But yeah, I'm doing my first series of stretch and folds, and again, during this process, I am so happy. You cannot tell me anything, because I'm finally making my first loaf of sourdough after taking a whole month to get my starter started, right? So I didn't show you all of my stretch and folds. Just know that I did go through and I did a lot. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty confident, because the more you stretch and fold, the smoother the texture gets. And I guess that develops the gluten or whatnot. But I did do all my stretch and folds, and now I'm just going to let it sit and rest in this bowl. And it's actually going to sit overnight. That's one thing I did like about this recipe. She said that you did not have to like put it in the fridge or anything. Just leave it on the counter. And that's what I did. And now it's the next day, and I'm pretty sure that I'm getting ready to like shape it into a log. Like, it's gonna tell you to stretch it out and get all the air bubbles out and everything, which I do, and then I stretch it into like a loaf shape type situation. Yeah. So I actually told my daughter like she'll be good at making sourdough, because this is how she plays with her slime. Like, she stretches it out, then she folds it, and she pops all the bubbles and do all this stuff. So I'm like, you are definitely going to be a sourdough maker when you're older, because this is like comparable to slime in my opinion. She actually did do a couple stretch and folds for a loaf that we made before. But I'm just showing you the air bubbles that I'm trying to go through and get out before I actually shape it into like a bread loaf or whatnot. But yeah, if you ask me, all the sourdough girlies are the former Play-Doh and slime girls. Also, this is happening at like maybe 6:30 in the morning. So I've already made my coffee and everything. And I'm telling you, when I am getting ready to make a loaf of sourdough, that is all that is on my mind. Like, I'm worried about feeding my starter. I don't want to miss peak. If I see that it's ready, I'm going to make the dough. I've even thought about taking my starter to work with me. But this is first thing in the morning, made my coffee, and I got straight to my sourdough. And then it's done resting. I'm getting ready to transfer it to the loaf pan, and I'm supposed to let it rise a few hours. Don't quote me, don't ask me, I don't remember. But in the loaf pan, you let it rise, and I guess it finished fermenting or whatnot, and then you throw it in the oven. But after I go ahead and get it in the pan, I am going to get my life together, because what you are about to see is my hot mess kitchen. So let's go ahead and clean this kitchen up on Saturday morning. And I forgot to mention that once you put it in the pan, just cover it with like a tea towel or something. One, so that nothing gets on it, and then two, I guess it helps do whatever it does. I don't even know why I said two, because I don't really have a two, but do cover it with a damp tea towel or cheesecloth or something. Y'all, look at this kitchen, like absolute hot mess, but don't worry, we are about to take care of it. There's nothing like seeing your kitchen go from this to what you're gonna see at the end. And also, after we finish cleaning up, we are going to make some sourdough discard pancakes. Again, I was really excited about that too. I did make some sourdough discard biscuits before. Those things were bomb.com. But today we're gonna make sourdough discard biscuits, and I didn't have a recipe for it. I have like a standing recipe for pancakes, so I just switched it up a little bit. Where I would normally use more flour, I used less flour, because the sourdough starter is a combination of flour and water. And again, where I use more milk, I use less milk because the sourdough starter, but I still added in my eggs, baking powder, butter, and sugar. They ended up turning out really well, nice, fluffy. They were good. The 4-year-old enjoyed them, and I enjoyed them. I don't think my daughter ate any, and my husband doesn't really eat breakfast sometimes. So those of us that did eat them did enjoy them. Let me tell you, this frosted cranberry scent from Bath & Body Works candles, bomb.com. Really, anything with cranberry in it's good, but I will burn this frosted cranberry year round. Spring, summer, winter, fall, I do not care. It smells so good. It smells juicy and fruity, and I love it. As I'm finishing up cleaning up the kitchen, I'm also prepping for these pancakes again. Egg, flour, sugar, milk, things like that. But I am going ahead and get that prep ready so that when it's time, we can go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna have a little helper come help me, so that's exciting. He's so sweet.
I'm gonna do my show. I'm gonna mommy, daddy's use this. Mommy, daddy just gonna use this show I want to use this bowl. Can I go there?
Yeah, put it in this bowl.
Why?
That's our house. You're gonna have to crack
that a good one? It got all over my hands.
I'll get you a towel.
Can I
That's a good
use this
shell.
one?
No, not that one. How's that?
Good. Can I stir it up?
Okay. I gotta put the milk in there.
Can I help?
Let me get a measure.
Should we need a big one?
Not a big one, but what big is this? How do
Can you put it in this one? Yes?
I got it? Put a little bit more. Thank you, sir.
Can I stir it up? Mom, can I stir it up?
But let me start with just a little bit. Are you ready? Start slow, okay? While I get the sugar.
Is that good?
Wow, you're such a sleepy dog. What's wrong with you?
Monkey's looking at us.
He is.
Yes. You know he's looking at the TV.
Okay, sorry, just a little bit slower. A little bit more.
Mommy. Oh,
The big one.
a big one.
Do you want to pour it in the bowl?
Yes.
Okay, let me scoop it out. Yeah, pour it in this way.
Mom, how does that show on there? Mommy, you know those. Can I scoop? Was that a yacht?
Let's do one more. Like, let me knock it. Okay, not that much. That's a big one. Okay.
Mommy, I eat this with my strawberries.
That's not sugar, Monster.
What? Can I pet it?
Do you want to pour this in there?
Yeah. Can I put this in there?
That's right, I gotta measure it.
Mom, what did you
It is a little bit more. No.
Can I do it? Let me do it, Mommy.
Okay. Let's go back a step. Let's shoot bacon in. Just a little bit more milk, okay? You want to pour it?
Yes. Mom, how long do we have to use this? Can I do it?
Let me scoop it out.
We're using that.
Did you get it all out?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else?
Let's see if this is enough milk. You're ready for it.
Is it enough? Nope.
Maybe you can pour it. So we can pour the rest of it in there. No, it's-
Was that enough?
Yeah, this looks good. That's- be hot, so you gotta be careful over here. You wanna get down.
I can't touch this.
Yeah, but it might get warm.
On this?
Yes. Is that okay?
Yes. Can I put it in a cup? Thank you. Can I use this? Can I use this?
Yeah, let me move all this stuff up. Get down for a second.
I love you.
He's such a little sweetie. His little cuddles are the best. My sweet boy. But let me know below if you guys want like a detailed recipe of how I made these sourdough discard pancakes. Again, the recipe was starter, flour, sugar, eggs, buttermilk, and baking powder. Pretty simple, but it's really just about the ratio or whatnot. And these pancakes came out pretty well. Like I said, we both enjoyed them. No one else really ate them. I think he even had some of these the next day. I just love making homemade pancakes. There's nothing better. Every time I get boxed pancakes, it fills me some way, somehow. And yeah, I'm just adding butter to the pan now before I add the actual batter. Does anyone else like cooking on stainless steel or cast iron? Because it is like my go-to thing. We just recently went to the Lodge store in Tennessee, so we got a few pieces there, and I got these stainless steel pans maybe a couple years ago. I really enjoy them. My husband does not like cooking on stainless steel because things stick, but you know, there's a little bit of art and science to it. But I love cooking on stainless steel, and I love cooking on cast iron. So we wrap this up with these pancakes. I'm just checking on the loaf again, and I don't remember how long I baked it or what the temperature was, but I was just checking then to see the rise of it. And you'll see in the end, the loaf looks kind of dense. Now, I don't know if I was supposed to split it to make it into more than one loaf. I don't know if it got like enough rise or anything. I'm not really sure, but I will say, as excited as I was to make my first loaf of sourdough, this loaf did not come out the best. It was pretty heavy and it was pretty dense. Like, it had a nice sourdough flavor, but you can tell there was some definite struggle. But don't let that be discouraged, because like I've said, I've made several loaves since then. Go watch my shorts, watch my other videos, and they have been chef's kiss. So don't be discouraged. I was not discouraged. You know what I did? I actually made another loaf that next day. And every loaf since then has been better and better. I'm continuing to learn, I'm continuing to grow, and really I'm just enjoying this overall process. So if this is your first video that you've watched of my sourdough journey, make sure you go back and watch the rest of them so you can see where my starter started from day one and me being very worried up until the point where I'm making these loaves and we're enjoying them and just having a great time.